I got thrown by this whole new setup. Then I didn't realize I had to fade the music out. Welcome back to another episode, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you are all keeping fine and dandy. This Tuesday evening, we're out on a new, well, not a new platform for the podcast, a new platform for this particular version of it, because it's normally gone through the Facebook group. So tonight we're bringing it here, and hopefully, if it works, we should be out on Instagram as well. But I won't know that until we're done. So let's just see if any technical issues go wrong. Bob, how are you going? How's your week been?
Yeah, it's been good. Yourself?
Oh, can't complain. The wheels keep turning. Nothing's on fire over here yet, so there we go. Now, I think it's no secret at this stage that me and Bob are music fans, and being the power dork that I also am, and the Holmes fan, a musician himself. Played the violin at 3 a.m. not for pleasure, for thinking. He used music the way a surgeon might use a scalpel, to isolate, to clarify, to recalibrate. And so what we're hoping to do here with this musical insight that we've been going down is to kind of show you how to weaponize that instinct, not in the militaristic sense, but if you know how to listen to what people listen to and how they listen, you have access to one of the most underused, what's the best word? Diagnostic channels in behavioral assessment. It's not about taste. This is about data, right? But yeah, picture the scene. You're in a pre-interview briefing room. Your subject, your person, your interviewee arrives 10 minutes early. They're calm, maybe a little too calm. You notice that their earphones are still in. He doesn't always remove them straight away, but when he does, you catch the rhythm still moving in his jaw. You might note the genre, slightly aggressive, a little fast, maybe high on the BPMs. And before he's even said a single word, you've already learnt something about how he manages arousal. As in his nervous system, get your minds out of the gutter, how he primes himself for high stakes environments and how he relates to control, right? So what we're trying to do here is more about what you do with that information. There we go. There's the setup. Maybe a little wordier than normal. Bob, your thoughts?
Yeah, been giving it a lot of thought, and you know, I, I recently I've been sort of experimenting with AI. There's these text to talk apps you can get, and I've tried a few of them, and then I found one because they still don't sound like language or conversation. So
Yeah.
I found one where you can up and down the tempo and you can
Oh,
do all sorts of things with it. And it started to become more human. Still not human, but you could tell it wasn't, but it was as
mm,
near as you could probably get. And then I
mm,
started to think about it in terms of this. And what I think is that if you really want to be a good observer of people,
mm,
then what we tend to focus on, and a lot of the people who teach this focus on, is frequency,
mm,
duration, and uh, the ABC, and antecedents and consequences
mm.
of what an interaction is doing.
Intelligence doesn't guarantee influence. If you can't communicate and do so clearly, your ideas die in translation. Productive communications teaches you how to understand behavior, how to navigate tension, and how to create real clarity in conversation. No manipulation, no scripts, just behavioral insight applied correctly. So if you want fewer misunderstandings and more control in conversation, go to omniscient-insights.com/procoms or right here. Mm,
But that's just being like a detached observer. That's
mm,
what you are.
mm,
And by becoming an attuned listener, you move yourself into maybe dynamic interpretation over
Yeah.
time, um, because you then start looking at flow, timing, transitions. So pattern transitions within patterns, or
Mm,
transition from one pattern to another, and also the relational tone of what's going on at any particular time. So the more I think about it, the more I think that it adds a real, it's not dismissing all of the other stuff. And to be
mm,
honest, I think this is probably an advanced skill. You have to
mm,
learn the basics of listening and all that first.
yeah.
But I think um, if you can start tuning in, and that's what it is, you're
Mm,
tuning in to the conversation, because as we've said, it's not random, a conversation or interaction. It will unfold over time, and just
mm,
like the best music, there will become a rhythm to it. It's not
yeah.
music, but it is a rhythm. Like patterns of repetition will occur within it. And
Mm,
so to be able to identify them and attune yourself to them will allow you to see when that syncopation happens, when unexpected behaviors slip through. And although we think, and when you look at it and when you see examples of it, they're always macro versions of it. In actual real life, there will be very micro versions of the changing tone and that, which you'd only
yeah.
pick up on if you're really in tune with them.
Yeah. 100%. Well, it's maybe an advanced skill, not because it takes like a particularly intellectual notion, but it's because it's a disciplined way of listening. And
Mm.
most people on a day-to-day basis will listen to something and then
Yeah,
provide an immediate label as a form of comfort for themselves,
yeah,
when the engaged active listening is really a curiosity notion. music
yeah,
isn't music isn't background. It's kind of a drug that people take, if
yeah.
of sorts, and what they choose tells you what they need. So the question that we have on the table is, can musical taste actually predict personality, or is that more pop psychology, in that kind of route? What do you think?
Mm. That's an interesting thought. I never thought of
Mm,
it like that. I think you'd have to be careful. I think it comes to this, what I truly believe in. When you're speaking with someone, you speak to who they want to be, not who you think they are. It's so you may know a person and you think, well, he's behaving differently in this environment than he
yeah,
normally does. Well, speak to that person how they want to be spoke to in that environment, not who you think they are.
yeah,
So I think taking that analogy to this, then their musicality might be different depending on the situation. So I think it's probably context and
yeah,
environment based.
yeah,
Um,
100%.
but but yes, I think it does. Like I say, it's an interpretation of where they are at that point, and I think it works if we move from the proposition of that you can just read a person's behavior from a book, like he does this, so it means this, to I'm gonna engage with that person how they want me to engage with them at that
Yeah,
time, and I'm gonna be that person that is a counterbalance to what they are, a counterpart to what they are. Then yes, I
yeah,
think it works.
yeah,
Because there'll be rhythm, there'll be tempo, and there'll be the dynamics there, and it's just a question of attuning to them.
yeah,
So that is my point: is that it helps us get into that person, and the best way to get a good reading on people is when you've got that alignment with them.
mm,
And I think getting into the musicality and the rhythm and everything else, the tempo, the dynamics of it would
yeah,
actually really assist. It's more
yeah,
than just being a passive observer and
yeah,
making the right noises at the right time. And I think
100%.
probably, and I'll throw it back to you then. I think by doing that, you become to be more empathetic,
Agree
have
to
better
agree,
rapport.
agree to agree to agree to agree. Like I know that's technically terrible English, but I wanted my enthusiasm for that idea to ring true. A while ago, my wife took me to see my favorite band, Muse. Yeah, you might have heard of them. Everyone else might have heard of them. You might not. Doesn't matter. They're a big rock band. Anyway, they are known for putting on quite the show. You know,
Yeah.
in the same way that maybe Pink is infamous for putting on quite the show with her aerobatics or acrobatics, whatever. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, so we are kind of moving around, and there's people drunk. Obviously, it happens, and then people start yelling, and then this signature riff from Matt Bellamy just kind of rings out. The entire crowd quieten down, and everyone's just looking around, experiencing the same moment.
Mm.
And it's that shared experience. And like for a different piece of music, it might be when you're in the middle of a dance floor and Thriller comes on, and then you find the first people that that start doing the dance move. The reason that I ask is that I stumbled upon. I'm a big fan of Sam Gosling's work, and for anyone that hasn't heard of Sam Gosling, Sam is the guy that wrote Snoop, What Your Stuff Says About You. Wonderful book, great book. And there's a lecture on it on YouTube as well for free. I think it's about an hour or so long. Um, but when I found out he was working with this guy, Peter Rentfrow, and they published their music model in 2003. It's one of the most cited studies in applied psychology, and
Huh?
the idea is that five broad musical dimensions map consistently onto the big five personality traits.
Ah,
Um, mellow music correlates with agreeableness and openness. Intense music, metal, punk, hard rock correlates with openness, but also emotional volatility. And much like any personality system, it has its flaws, right?
yeah,
If you're going to try and apply it as a utilitarian notion to all people, it's going to fail, right? If you're trying to apply it with that body language book idea of I've seen this, therefore this, it's not going to happen. Like just because you've heard uh, Enya, it doesn't automatically mean agreeableness by default. But one of the things that sprang out of that was this idea of the things that you were saying, like with beat and with tempo and with pitch and tone and time signature. It has a, a more than frequent connection to moving your nervous system, right?
mm,
It's not a party trick. They ran this across thousands of participants across cultures, and it held. So if someone tells you what they listen to, they're giving you insight into
yeah,
what literally moves them,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
it's great
definitely.
work.
Yeah, it's
Oh, we've
definitely.
we've we've had a question come in. Um,
Okay.
s There we go. Is it going to pop up? Oh, I don't know why that's gone down there. There we go. Let's move this one. There we go. Memory and music are related. There's a question.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Bob, do you want to handle this?
Yeah, I mean, hippocampus is like our library, and
Hmm.
it's a fact that, and you know this because whoever it was who's written that question in, we all know this because we all have that time when we see someone and we don't remember their name,
Mm,
but we know them, and we have to picture where we met them before we
mm,
can actually say who that person is, and then it comes into context. So definitely invite the environments, the pictures that we build in our brain may have a soundtrack attached to them. And I would think that in the sequence of how we remember, the music would probably be up there with pictures. I definitely think that. And certainly, um, certainly myself, and I can't speak for everyone else, but music moves me. It takes me back to certain times in
Mm,
my life, and like everyone, the sadder ones are usually more readily accessible than the good ones, although they're all there. So there's temporal awareness, definitely. What
yeah.
is that about yourself, Ben?
Yeah, 100%. It's been researched and reviewed time and time and time again. Like, um, I would be willing to, and even if you engage with music not as much as everybody else, there will be songs that you never set out to learn. And the if you look at memory in music, it predates language.
Yeah,
It predates language. If you go to anything Lynn Kelly has done, wonderful research work,
yeah,
specifically down the branch of memory, and you look at song lines. These were the ideas that I think she cited Aborigine cultures, but she cited a bunch of others as well. But Aboriginal's the only one that's coming back to me at the minute. Oh, sweet irony, right? And these were folks that sort of encoded into song generations and thousands of kilometers worth of travel across the outback. Yeah, memory and music distinctly related. And just to put the pin in the Sam Gosling and Peter Renfrew thing, it was called the Do Re Mi's of Everyday Life. That was the
yeah.
foundational stuff. They did some follow up in 2010, 2010s, something like that. But it was expanded to six dimensions. And then it confirmed its cross cultural validity. The research is not
Well,
speculative, it is peer reviewed, it's
yeah,
replicated, and it's directly applicable in these kinds of assessment contexts. However,
interesting.
that personality idea rings true. If you're looking at it, I've seen this, therefore this, you're missing the ideas beyond it altogether. Because for just as many heavy metal songs that I listen to just as much classical, I listen to just as much jazz,
Yeah,
and beyond. So there's balance to all things. So in me telling you guys this, please don't think that you're going to have a system that can do the thinking for you. A behavioral assessment isn't passive by any stretch
no,
of the imagination.
yeah. I was talking about this. I was with someone the other day, and we were talking about this, and they when I'm talking about where you need to be a good observer of behaviour, is you have to be an observer. You have to
Mm,
be someone who talks less and they listen. And we was talking about it, and this person came up with something which I wrote down. So I thought, well, that's good. Good
nice.
observers count. Great observers listen. And I think
Oh,
that's really good because if you are only about measuring the behavior in the moment, are you going to miss the rhythm of it? We talk about thin slicing,
mm,
but for me, you can only thin slice once you know what the whole looks like.
oh,
Once you get into the pattern, then you can
mm,
start taking thin slices out of it to try and
mm,
make meaning of them. But you can't do that unless you know the it's the context. The rhythm is the context.
mm,
And
mm,
yeah, I truly believe that. It's if you miss the rhythm, then you're going to miss it because what we're at here is the point where science and art intersect.
mm,
Um,
mm.
and they do work together. Some people will make you think because they're getting called out for saying their stuff is scientific. Oh, well, it's not science, it's an art. Well, my answer to that is it isn't one or the other, it's both.
Yeah.
And the art of it is how to interpret it.
Mm,
The knowledge you get from the science underpins your approach to it, but
mm,
the actual doing it, which is what we're talking about here, the actual sitting there and doing it or standing there and doing it is the art side of it.
mm.
Because there is so much leeway in there. Science can only get you so far.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's that search for easy explanations. Like, so, somebody says, "Do you like this or this?" Well, I can also have both. I can also have neither.
Mm. Yeah,
There's four options
yeah,
within that. I mean, I would imagine many more as well if you really sat and thought about it. Um,
yeah.
but this is the problem with a lot of ways of working, like AI as an idea for brain work
Mm.
is only bad when you rely on it to do all of these things for you. So, like, if
Yeah,
you're looking for art and science, there's only rigidity in the deployment of them. If you solely rely on artistic entity or solely rely on scientific support, the
sure.
deployment of them, it kind of goes back and forth. Is something I wanted to ask you with the mention of Brian Eno a couple of times,
Yes.
um, ambience and background and all of that kind of thing. Because whether you think in this way or not, there is an argument. I don't agree with it, but there is an argument to be made that these kinds of background music, ambience songs and sounds and rainforest things and everything else that goes on, they're not music.
Mm.
They're not music. But again, that, that connects back to your definition of what it is. Um, so does someone's choice of not just whether or not to use them, but what they choose to use as well, work and function in the same way or similar ways?
Mm. I I think they are music, and I
Mm,
think they've got a really good place. If you years ago, when I went through a period of being very anxious and I was finding it difficult to sleep, and I found an app then that was it wasn't white noise. I couldn't work with them, but this was ambient noise.
mm,
There was a bit of musicality to it, but it wasn't music,
mm,
and it calmed you down for the reason that there probably were patterns in it, but their patterns weren't demonstrated through things like drums or anything. It was just
right.
very calm. So I would say it's music.
Yeah.
Um,
So would
I,
I.
I, yeah, I would say it's music. Even some of the really experimental stuff. If you go
Mm,
even further than Brian Eno, you'll find artists that just use drills or just used
mm,
sounds, the human voice. Brian Eno did do a song with a group called Fred Again, I think they're called, or he's called. It's I think they're a dance group mainly,
mm.
but Brian Eno did a song with them, which is just voice, and
Oh
it's
wow.
very haunting. And again, this goes back to that question that was asked. It's memory, isn't it? It's instantly memorable, and
Yeah.
I can remember now the first time I heard it, and that's in my memory bank as an experience. And so
Yeah.
I think music is connected within us to
Agreed.
experience.
Yeah. Agreed. Like, would Jaws, the film Jaws, would
Yeah,
that have been anywhere near as scary without the duh, 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 and then the eventual increase of it? Ambient music choice
yeah,
is it's an underread behavioral signal that's readily available for all that use it. Like, even if you think of someone who works in silence,
yeah,
right? They are communicating that they have a tolerance for self-generated thought. They can
yeah,
sit with their internal monologue, which by
mm,
default means they're often analytical or pensive because they're
yeah,
comfortable spending a lot of time in their heads.
yeah,
Someone who requires constant sonic stimulation is managing a nervous system arousal of some form,
yeah.
or trying to suppress some kind of intrusive thought. Right?
Mm,
That's not getting into the specifics. That's just the purpose of what the music does. That's a great
sure.
hook.
Here's the truth: clarity under pressure isn't natural, it's trained. Axiom is a cognitive framework one that is designed to improve your reasoning, to improve your memory, and then the subsequent decision making that goes along with that. Not theory focused, not just inspirational quotes, mental architecture. So if you want to think clearly and do so when it counts, go to omniscient-insights.com/action or right there. Because in chaos, the clear thinker wins. To hang
Yeah.
the behavioral, well, put my teeth in, the behavioral assessment on.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's worth pointing out though that there are challenges with it, like there are with
Yeah,
all forms of behaviour analysis.
yes.
You've got the risk of subjectivity,
Mhm.
uh, and it's quite difficult to quantify. Like all behaviour, you have to, in our job, as you know, we have to be open to being wrong,
Yeah.
but we try to reduce the amount of opportunities there are to be wrong.
Yeah.
And to really be good at this needs time
Mm.
and probably, if you're new to it, training,
Mhm.
because it's not something that comes naturally. We don't listen. We tend to take mental shortcuts, and
Mhm.
and none of that is good. So looking for the musicality in something maybe could help with that. I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, I agree. I absolutely agree. Like, one of the things that when I get some people come face to face, I'd be like, sit and listen to some music that you actively don't like, just to see what it
Mm,
does to you. Like, just to see what it does to you. It kind of became a joke, but I mean it sincerely. I'm not a fan of the music of Justin Bieber. I'm not. You can love him, you can hate him. I'm not a fan of his music at all. So I would sit there and I would listen to it just to see what that changed in me, what irritate, because it's still music that's functionally made of the same parts. There's still drums and guitars and some synths and a singer and some bass and all sorts that's happening. So, what is that that's happening within me? Why am I jumping to an immediate notion? And then I'm sitting with that thought, and I eventually figured out exactly why I don't like it. Why it doesn't appeal to me. It's not like, grr, I'm going to get on a soapbox and scream about
mm,
how much I don't like it. But there is an emotional contagion about music, just in the same way that there is with a belief or an
mm,
idea. If it's not questioned or corrected. Reminded of Holmes. It's a capital mistake to theorize before one has data,
mm.
and
Are you
if
get to get him in?
Always, always. I could never miss a trick. But this is how we wind up with people on the earth that sincerely believe that birds
Yeah,
aren't real. If you formulate your idea before you've had time to properly explore it and gather information, like if you see someone listening to heavy metal and then think, well, he or she is whatever by default, then you're going to be more at risk of twisting all of the facts to suit said theory, because
sure.
it's more of a challenge based on your behavior for however many years old you are up until that stage of the dealing with the difficulty of being wrong. Emotional contagion is the automatic adoption of another person's emotional state
Yeah,
through facial, vocal, and postural mimicry. Go to any concert and tell me that doesn't happen. But go to any
yeah,
protest, tell me that doesn't happen.
yeah,
Go to any
yeah,
group meeting, tell me it doesn't happen. Music accelerates these, or rather can accelerate these things
yeah,
by inducing a strong baseline emotional state in a group simultaneously. This matters in assessment because a subject's emotional, what's the best word? Emotional threshold, like
mm,
how quickly or how deeply they absorb these kinds of things, is a direct window into their capacity for empathy. Because empathy is rooted in understanding,
yeah.
right? So, what are your final thoughts on a behavioural assessment through music?
Well, I'm going to give a challenge to people who are watching
Oh
this.
yes,
Um, if we accept that watching behaviour is like a piece of music, then watch myself and Ben through this and see what the musicality is. You know, what's the rhythm here and what changes it? And just see if you can come up with something. I'd really like to know what you think. I mean, I've been sort of doing it myself as I'm going along, but obviously I can't hear myself.
yeah,
But I think we're very much in sync. We're in sync. It seems to be.
yeah.
But I did write something down, so I'll read it out. My final thought is understanding behaviour musically may make us more precise analysts, but more importantly, it will make us more empathetic humans.
Love that. Love that. Lord knows we could all do with a little bit more understanding everywhere. My final thought was only going to be a question posed as a challenge. Though I didn't make the music, that was Robert John Collins. I gave the specific requirements for what I wanted from the music, and then Robert made the theme for this podcast. Um, to you, dear listener, what does that tell you about me? And I'll tell you whether you're right or not. So, with that in mind, we shall love you and leave you and come back every Tuesday. This will be how you will see us from now until one of us is working or ill or something else is happening. We'll be here come rain or shine. And if you're watching on Instagram, I hope this has worked for you. If it hasn't, I won't know for a while. But if you've got anything out of this discussion at all, you can show your support for the channel by subscribing to the podcast wherever you get them. And that allows us to just keep bringing these episodes and these ideas and these discussions to you. We've already got a fun one lined up coming real soon, but more on that as
Yeah.
it expands. And with that in mind, we'll love you and leave you and see you next time.
Yeah, bye bye.
Take it easy, guys. Bye bye.